Hello everyone and welcome back. This is episode number 2. My name is Christina Sosa and I am a life coach here to share with you all transformational frameworks, tools, and methods that you can use in life. And in today's episode, if you have been struggling with goal setting, want a new way to do goal setting, then make sure to check this episode out as I'm going to be sharing an awesome way to set goals. So before we jump into the model of goal setting that I want to share with you all today, I want to go ahead and go over the 3 fundamentals of goal setting once again, just to make sure that you all are aware of those as we go through the rest of this video and as you set your goals. So once again, we have 3 of those fundamentals that I will share with you now. The first one being the purpose. So what is the purpose of you setting this goal? What does this goal mean to you? Why do you want to achieve it? For example, is it to bring you happiness? Is it to connect you with something? Is it to let you live a more fulfilling life? So what is that purpose? What is that meaning and the why behind the goal that you're setting? The second thing is passion. What makes you passionate about this goal? And if the goal is not a passionate one of yours, note that that will be a very big challenge as you go about working to achieve that goal, because things that do not excite us often make it very hard for us to achieve them. The other thing to keep in mind, y'all, is that if you are not passionate about the goal, that's going to keep that motivation a little bit lower, and you're going to struggle to, as challenges arise, as you lose motivation, you're going to struggle to stay on top of that goal. So having a goal that you're passionate about will 100% help you find that motivation when you're struggling, and all of those things. And having passion and purpose come together is a very powerful way to achieve your goals. And then the last one is practicality, just making sure that you're setting practical goals. And when I say this, let's just say, for example, that you're looking to start running. You wouldn't want to set a goal where you're going to run a mile 7 days out of the week, right? Especially if you have not run in months and years. You want to ease up to that. So maybe you plan to do 1 mile a run once or twice a week. And then, as time goes on, you could increase that. And now you want to go, on a mile run 3 times a week. Or maybe guess what? You want to go on 2 mile runs instead of 1 mile, and then do that multiple times a week. So make sure your goal is practical. And of course, note that you can adjust it as time goes on. So a practical way to set a goal around running could be, I want to run 1 mile a week versus seven miles every day, because once again, that's a lot to have to change with your habits, your learning curve, everything like that. So once again, keep in mind those fundamentals as you set goals. And let's hop into the next part here, where we will be talking about a new model of setting goals. All right, let's dive into that new goal setting model. So I am sure many of you have either A, never been taught how to set a goal, or B, have been taught the SMART goal method, which is what I was taught. I will be honest with you all, I never learned how to set goals in high school or, K through 12, aside from saying write down what you want to work on, I want to get an A in class. And so oftentimes there was no additional steps that I wrote out. There was no bigger tie to my whys. And so once again, I often struggled with goal setting. And once I got into college, I started setting SMART goals because I became more involved with, leadership positions. And I realized that SMART goals were helpful, but they still weren't speaking to me. And so coming upon this new model, I hope that this model stands out to you and is something of interest to you that you would like to utilize. And of course, if not, just know that there's ways for you to adapt and adjust. But sharing just another model that you can utilize, I think, will be greatly beneficial. So I want to go ahead and share that awesome goal setting model with you. And this was created by Ajit, who works with Mindvalley. Once again, Mindvalley is a platform that helps folks learn about various things. And it is actually the platform that helped me become certified as a life coach. And so in that certification, I learned about the A.W.E.S.O.M.E model and want to share that with you all today. So A.W.E.S.O.M.E stands for ambition, why, executable, specific, objective, measurable, and expiration. So I'm going to break that down here in just a moment, but that is that overview of what that A.W.E.S.O.M.E model breaks down into. And once again, as you are using the A.W.E.S.O.M.E model, this is what's going to help you build out a goal that will then make it so that you can actually achieve it and make it executable. And of course, noting that this is going to be the part one, and in just a moment at the end of this video, I'll share the part two, which is how you can make sure that your goal turns into an action plan. And once again, to make sure that you are being held accountable. And so you do not have things that have happened in the past before, such as, you forgetting or losing sight of the goal, you giving up on the goal. I really do want to make sure that you can achieve your goals this year and for future years to come. So with that being said, diving into the A of the A.W.E.S.O.M.E model is ambition. So you want to make sure that your goal is ambitious. Now, when I say this, we were talking about practicality earlier. Keep in mind when we say practical, we want it to be doable, but we also want to make sure that your goals are ambitious when you're setting them. You want these goals to make you very excited and a little fearful. That's when you know you're starting to get the right ingredients together, if you will, for your goal. So when I say this, you don't want the goal to be something where you're like, yeah, within a year I can achieve that, no problem. I don't really have to learn or grow anyway. I'll get there. So maybe, for example, you're a runner and you're really good at it, and you set the goal of by the end of the year you're going to do a 5K, just like a 5K you've done any year before. And so that's not a very ambitious goal. But what if you were to instead say, by the end of the year I'm going to do a 10K. And so that's actually going to be harder. It's going to make me have to actually increase my workouts. It's going to make me have to learn how to, make my energy, sustainable so that I don't burn out by, mile 8. So setting ambitious goals is going to require you to do a little bit more, but in this way, it challenges you. And when we're challenged, that often makes us a lot more invested. And so I just want to keep that in mind as well. So make that goal ambitious. For example, for myself, my ambitious goal was to start that business. And so look at where I'm at now. The next letter is W, which stands for why. So you need to know your why of why you're setting the goal. This, y'all, is where I think a lot of us make our mistakes, because we set a goal thinking that that's what our family wants us to achieve. That's what society wants us to achieve. We think we want it, but it's really important, y'all, as you're setting your goals, to understand the why you are setting this goal. What is the purpose behind it? What does it mean to you? So for example, let's think about setting a goal around money. You're not going to set a goal and say, I just want to get X amount of money, because that's not a strong enough why. That's not going to help you when, you're down in the gutters feeling like you want to give up. But what if instead you said, I want to make X amount of money so that I can support my family with the freedom of choices. And so, for example, when I say that, knowing that you hitting this a certain amount of money is going to allow, say for your example, you and your partner to be able to make choices and not have to be like, well, we can only do this because we only have this amount of money. Instead, now you have, these pools of money where you can say, you know what? We say want to send our child to college and we want to pay all of that out. You now can make that choice, versus if you had never decided on why you wanted that X amount of money, you may not have been motivated to work towards it. So make sure you know that why. For me, for example, the why behind starting my own business was so that I could align myself and live a purposeful and fulfilling life where I could help people transform their lives and find the potential within themselves, but also still be able to care for my mind, spirit, body, as I go through life, because in my previous work, I was not able to do that, and that really caused me to be miserable and only really find fulfillment in work. And I never want to not feel fulfilled in other parts of my life. So I want that for my career, yes, but also for the other aspects of my life too. All right, so moving on. So we just talked about A and W, and now we are moving on to E, which is executable. So similar to what I shared with you about practicality, you want to make sure that it's executable. So you want to make sure that you have the resources you need, just different pieces like that. And let's think, for example, executable. Maybe you want to read 150 books by the end of the year. Would that be executable based off of your time, based off of your energy levels, all of these different things? And so once again, maybe you reduce that 150 books down to 50 books. And of course, note that may make it a little bit more executable. So just keep in mind, you want it to be able to be done, but you still want to make that goal ambitious. So keep that in mind. Moving on now to S, which is specific. Similar to SMART goals, you see that both of them hold that specific because it is so important, y'all. Oftentimes we set goals that are very broad, and it makes it very hard for us to see if we achieved it, to track it. And sometimes it can also not let us connect with it because it's just kind of like, okay, well, I'm gonna, make this amount of money. Once again, what does this X amount of money mean? What does it look like? That kind of thing. So a great example of setting specific goals is setting a goal around health. Oftentimes we can set a broad goal like, I want to get healthy. So what does that mean? How will a year from now, how will I be able to tell that I am healthy? How will I measure it? How will I have tracked it? Those kinds of things. So you can see how if you do not set a specific goal, it can be very challenging to track and to also know if you've achieved it. So if I wanted to get healthy, maybe it's saying that I want to work out 3 times in a week. And I'm going to set that goal from today, till 6 months from now, and I'm going to track it in this way. So that's specific. You are going to work out 3 times a day. And if you wanted to be even more specific, you could say, I'm going to work out on a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday for 1 hour. And if you wanted to be even more specific, it could be, I'm going to work out and do yoga Monday, Wednesday, Friday. For an hour. So that's an example. And then once again, you would know that you're achieving that goal of starting to make your body and your mind and everything feel better and healthier, because by the end of the 6 months, you'll be able to say, you know what, literally I can see and feel that, but I'm also tracking and can see that because I did, those 3 workouts every week, this was the result. Awesome. So set those specific goals. Next, you're going to want to set objective goals. And so this is just going to be where you're thinking about the processes within the goal. So what are the tasks that you're going to need? What are the resources that you may need? So just start to list those out, and those will help you as you start to initiate some of the other pieces, which is how are you going to take action to get to that goal? And next is M, which is measurable. So you want to make that goal measurable. Just like specific is going to allow you to know if you've achieved that goal, measurable is going to do that exact thing. So it's going to let you know how to track that goal throughout the time, and it'll also let you know how to evaluate it by the end of the goal as well. So measurable could be, every week I track when I worked out, going back to that health goal. I worked out every week, and so I track it. And so by the end of these 6 months, I will have worked out this amount of times, that sort of thing. Another measurable goal could be, I read a book every week, and after I read that book, I write a summary. And so the way you can measure that is looking back through your journals and being like, did I write that, entry? And all of those things. So make sure it is measurable. So how are you going to track it? All of those things. And that can be as simple as, a journal. That could be, what are the measurements you're taking? Maybe, for example, you want to lose weight. You could see what your weight is at the beginning and then weigh yourself at the end. And that is you measuring, the before and after, those sorts of things. And then finally on letter E is expiration. So you want to make sure that there is a timeline for this goal. Um, the reality is, y'all, we have this whole journey of life to complete goals. But honest and truthfully, if you do not set a timeline, it's going to make it very hard for you to hold yourself accountable. It's also going to make it very easy for you to push goals off and say, you know what, I'll actually wait a month to get back on that health goal. Oh, you know what, I'll wait two weeks and then I'll get back onto my reading goal. Because if you did not set a deadline or an expiration date, time, etc., then you're going to continue to, flow and just go at your whims and decide when you want this to end or not. Versus if you have a timeline, that's going to hold you accountable to making sure you're doing what you need to get done. And it's also going to make sure that you are ready to finish up that goal, which is amazing, and then set the next goal. Because for our entire lives, y'all, we will, I'm sure, always be setting goals, because there should always be something that we're striving for. And also, goals are just a really great roadmap to help us as we navigate life, so that we have direction and clarity in that way and know what action steps to take. So expiration is very important. Make sure to set that deadline timeline so that it holds you accountable, so you can make sure you get that goal done in a timely manner, and then you can move on to the next goal. So that covers the A.W.E.S.O.M.E model, which once again stands for ambition, the Y, executable, specific, objective, measurable, and expiration. So use these in your as your elements as you are setting your goal or goals for this year. And as you're doing that, once again, keep in mind that this is the part one that I'm talking about, where you get to outline and set that goal. And now we're going to talk about part two, which is taking action on that goal. Of course, noting once you have this all written out, that is already getting you in gears and in the right mode to start moving forward on things. But we want to make sure that you are putting some things in place to make these changes and actions sustainable, so that you can achieve those goals, and all of those great things. So let's dive into that action part of the goals. All right, folks, so diving into the action plan portion of setting goals, we just talked about setting goals using the A.W.E.S.O.M.E model. So you should now have a goal, and now we are moving into the action plan. So I want to share with you all another technique that I learned from Mindvalley called the H.A.A.M approach, H.A.A.M approach, that once again allows you to create that action plan that follows then along with your goal to make sure that your goal is able to be achieved. And so I want to go ahead and share that breakdown of the H.A.A.M approach and let you know that if you are to implement the H.A.A.M approach after you set the goals, it will change the game. So H.A.A.M stands for H, which is habits, A, which is accountability, A, which is achievement and rewards, and M, which is motivational triggers. So let's go ahead and dive into that first letter of the H.A.A.M approach, and that is habits. So as we know, habits make up our lives and our world, and they really are a way for you to make change. So noting what habits you need to either adjust or add into to achieve your goal is going to be very important. For example, if you are working on a health goal and want to, say, for example, start working out 3 times a week, what are those habits that you're going to need to change to set that up? Is that a new habit? For example, is that you're going to set out your gym bag by the front door. That way you are reminded that you need to go work out, and you can grab it on your way out, and you now don't have to hassle with getting everything together, questioning if you want to go. This already is setting that habit that, yes, I'm going to go. Here's my stuff. Let's get out the door. So setting those habits. If, for example, a great one is if you want to start increasing, you want to get healthy and you want to increase your water intake, a habit could be you drink a glass of water every morning. And let's say, for example, a previous habit of yours was like I have no idea when I drink water ever. A habit could be that you start tracking when you drink water, or you're going to replace that habit of not drinking water with setting reminders that every hour I'm making sure that I have a glass of water with me that I can be drinking from, that sort of thing. Or, your habit is that you replace your juices and your pops with water, that sort of thing. So habits is going to be a very big part of your goals. And you thinking about what new habits you need, what old habits you might need to adjust or change or completely, get rid of, is going to be very important as you pursue those goals. The next letter is A for accountability. This is very crucial as well, y'all. This is where you either want to figure out, is it helpful for you to hold yourself accountable and have a system in place for that? Whether that's like, once again, if you're tracking you working out, you're checking off a box every day, or whenever day that you're working out. And so when you see that box is checked off, you're like, yes, I did that. And can you hold yourself accountable in that way? Or are you someone, like I think a lot of us are, where we need additional accountability outside of ourselves? And that could be a friend, that could be family. For myself, I have my partner, my fiance, Carlos, but I also have a community of coaches that also help hold me accountable to what I say and the goals I set as well. And that can mean that they're reaching out to me to check in on how my progress is going. I may ask them, in a week from now to see if I've accomplished A, B, or C. So having an accountability partner will have someone who can also, or yourself, just make sure that you're staying on track. And I will also offer this to you all. If you're seeking an accountability partner, that could be a coach like myself who makes sure to help keep you on track, or it could be finding spaces like my community through social media, where you can also share with people, here's my goal, and have them help you hold you accountable as well. So find what works for you. I do encourage you to seek external accountability, but if you can hold yourself accountable, that's great. But just make sure that someone or yourself is holding you accountable to this goal to make sure that you are working to achieve it and you're not getting off track, those sorts of things. Next is A for achievement and rewards. So I am sure you know that when you're rewarded, it gives you that extra energy, that excitement, all of those pieces. And so if we know that rewards really motivate us, then we definitely need to make sure that we have achievement and rewards in our process, in our goals, to make sure that we are rewarding ourselves, and in that way getting motivated throughout that process. So that could be as simple as maybe you set milestones throughout your goal that you celebrate, and that could be as simple as, maybe it's working out for 2 months in a row, and once you hit those 2 months, you're going to celebrate by going and doing your favorite thing. Maybe that's going out on a hike, maybe you treat yourself to your favorite coffee, whatever way that you can celebrate. Find something that just brings you a bit of happiness and do that thing, and make sure that you are finding ways to reward yourself throughout the goal setting. And of course, you can always ask your accountability partners to figure out and give you ways to reward you as well. But find things that are a great reward for you, and then make sure to include those so that you can have those motivators throughout that process. And then the final letter of the H.A.A.M approach is M, which stands for motivation triggers. This is very important, y'all, because I think oftentimes we either A, think that motivation is just going to keep going, or that you can just kind of pull motivation out of anywhere, which I will say the second part is a bit true. But I want to let you all know, motivation has its ups and downs. There are days that we are more motivated. There are days that we are less motivated. And that is because a variety of things, right? Maybe you worked a really long day the day before, and so today you're a lot more tired, and so that's going to decrease your motivation possibly. So keeping in mind that our motivation may decrease, and we want to find ways to increase that motivation. Now, it can be theoretical where we're like, I just want to be more motivated. And I will say this to you all, that has often not worked for me, but finding ways to trigger and prompt myself do help me go through those shifts that then get me motivated and then get me to take that next step and, get back to what I'm doing and feel energized in doing so. So, for example, a motivational trigger for me in the mornings to get me started on a good note where I'm feeling upbeat, energized, connecting with my purpose, all of those things, I like to start off with an educational video from one of my favorite educators, whether that's Mindvalley, whether that's Brendon Burchard, Tony Robbins, whoever that is. I like to seek some learning from these individuals, and it reminds me, like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, how incredible it is to see people out there sharing their knowledge and wisdom, and I get to also be that person. So it just motivates me, inspires me, and it gives me great information that I can utilize that day, share with you all, or whatnot. So set up motivational triggers like I did for myself with that one, and that then motivational trigger sets me up for the rest of my day where I feel more energized, so those sorts of things. And of course I would set up additional motivational triggers throughout the day to make sure that motivation continues to stay up, or when it goes down, bring it back up again. So your motivational trigger could be anything from pictures, it could be vision boards, it could be writing down the why of your goal and having it near to you. Another example, and I think is very powerful, is writing a message to yourself to remind yourself so that you can look back at that. It could be reading a chapter from one of those books that really impacts you and then utilizing that as a trigger. So find your motivational triggers, know what those are, and then include those into your days, into your routines, and keep those in mind as you plan your goals, that you have those motivational triggers detailed out. So that is the H.A.A.M approach. I hope that really made sense as to why these pieces are so important after you've set the goals to make your action plan moving forward. So after you've set the goal, make sure that you then go through the H.A.A.M approach and get that written out so that you have an action plan that not only details your goal, but ways that you're going to navigate and get there, whether it's the habits that you're going to create or potentially remove, whether it's the motivational triggers that you'll set to make sure that you are staying motivated to pursue and achieve that goal, whether it's having an accountability partner that makes sure to check in on you and say, hey, how's that goal going? And even could possibly say, hey, how can I support you? So make sure to include that H.A.A.M approach when you are setting your awesome goals. And this will really help you succeed in setting goals. And I want to stress to you all, just keep in mind as you set goals that your goals will change. There may be some goals that you thought you wanted to achieve and you realize that they actually weren't meant for you. And I want you to be okay with that. So just keep in mind that goals are amazing because they really do help us create a roadmap and help us get to create that life that we want to live. And also help us, not get lost along the way, make sure that it's actually something that we want, all of those things. And so make sure to set goals, make sure that they have purpose, passion, and practicality behind them. Utilize a model that will help you so you're not just making these broad goals that you can achieve. So you can use things like the A.W.E.S.O.M.E model. There's of course the SMART goal model. And then make sure that as you're building out your action plan, you're thinking about the H.A.A.M approach so that you can set that goal and do it successfully. So hope that was helpful. Make sure to check out my future videos, like and subscribe. And I am very excited to be sharing more information and knowledge that will help you transform your life. Let's make this year and any year going forward a great one. Have a good one, everyone.